Canning Town, London, 21st of January 2006. 22-year-old Peter Woodham and his fiancée Jane were driving through Custom House. As they pulled into the road, something hard bounced off the side of his car. Peter jumped out to see what had happened. Standing across the road was a group of boys now shouting insults. The gang of boys had already thrown stones and were repairing a second lot when Peter stepped towards them. A fight broke out and the gang fled. Walking back to his car, Pete realised he had been stabbed in the neck and slashed across the face. Opting to spare the car's interior and living just a short distance away, Pete started to walk home. He never got far before he collapsed in the road and an ambulance was called. Police attended the scene and Peter was taken by ambulance to Woodham Hospital. Mr. Woodham was discharged from hospital the next day with stitches. Peter and his fiancée Jane gave a statement to police. Witnesses came forward and 5 names were given, but no action was taken and no arrests were made. Pete was scarred for life. The gang continued to arrest the satellite engineer with death stares and damages to the family car. Every time Mr. Woodham met the thugs in the street, he was either obstructed or threatened with crude throat-slashing gestures. He told police officers he was afraid for him and his family's safety and felt like a prisoner in his own home. On the 21st of August 2006, Peter Woodham stepped outside to confront somebody shouting threats outside his house. He was shot 4 times at point-blank range. He tried to get back in the house but collapsed on his doorstep and died in front of his horrified fiancée and his 3-year-old son. A murder investigation began and Bradley Tucker was arrested after going on the run for a month. He admitted firing the shots and told investigators he was angry with Mr. Woodham for disrespecting him in an exchange of words the day before. The court heard that 8 shots were fired, 4 hitting Mr. Woodham. He was shot in the heart, both lungs and through the hands. Tucker held his head between his knees as he was found guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison. His father said outside court, "Pete was a hard-working and courageous man who was gunned down for standing up for his family. All he wanted was for the intimidation to stop." Detective Chief Inspector Ian Stevenson, who led the investigation, said, "Peter had no opportunity to defend himself in the face of a man who had complete disregard for his life and was prepared to use a gun. While Tucker was known locally as a thug and a petty criminal, his victim was a law-abiding citizen who worked 7 days a week to support his family. His efforts to build a better life were continually undermined by the gang." Speaking outside the court, he said he was at a loss to understand how Tucker had moved from petty crime to murder. He commended the local community for coming forward with information hours after the shooting and repeated the Met's apology to the family over the failure to solve the earlier attack. His fiancée Jane said, "Our son keeps asking when his father is coming home. 1 minute Peter was our future, within seconds he was our past."